Mrs. School Board work study session to order. It is 7 minutes after, approximately 6 or a few minutes late. Are there any changes or amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, then we will adopt the agenda as presented here. The first order of business, then, is the high school science room remodel.
Thank you, Mrs. Monica. If you guys remember, about a year and a half ago when we were looking at improving our facilities, mostly the turf and those things, the science room came up and saying how we needed better learning space for our students in that room in particular. So at that point, we started the process of remodeling and talking to teachers. So we actually have Houston here with Zimmerman, and so he's going to go into our process and what that looks like and where we're at for everybody. So I'm going to just hand it over to Houston because that's all he's going to run the show.
I am Houston Head with Schlager Zimmerman Architects. We were hired to draw up some remodel plans for the science rooms, existing science rooms in the high school. As Mr. Hawkins brought up, there was some preliminary kind of scope that the teachers had formulated for what they thought the needs were for the space. And we looked at that as well as had several meetings with the teachers looking at the space afterwards to kind of hone in on the scope of work. This is just an overall key plan that shows where the science wing is in the high school. With the age of this building and its construction materials, almost any project kind of has two facets to it. There's an asbestos abatement portion. Unfortunately, when we're dealing with a lot of the materials in the school are asbestos containing. So prior to any construction, anything that would be affected has to be abated by an abatement contractor. So Steve Paulson with Paulson Environmental Consulting worked on the asbestos abatement portion and did that portion of the work as it would affect the remodel. And then we did the actual construction drawings after asbestos has been removed and what that would look like. So this is the demolition plan, which kind of shows the existing configuration of the two science classrooms. This is Mrs. Watt's room. It kind of had these island-style lab stations, which, and in general, this space has really not had any remodel work ever done since the school was constructed. So this is all original. And some of her complaints were that it really affected visibility from the teaching space to be able to see what all students were doing. There's kind of some raised bookshelves and gas piping that ran through the center of these islands. So visibility was kind of limited to be able to see what all the students were doing at any given time. Also, there were 2 fume hoods, and it really only ever used one. So this room basically completely remodeled. All of the existing lab stations, cabinets, countertops all come out. The only thing that would remain is one existing fume hood on this wall, which is right there where my cursor is. Mr. Fournier's room wasn't really included in the original scope, although they do have these sink island that doesn't function very well, and there were old sinks that have been abandoned in the existing laptops. So added to this project scope was replacing just countertops on the existing cabinets in his room and a new sink station. So that's what this demolition is showing. That's the classrooms. The only other room that really gets much done is this storage room here. We're going to remove some existing cabinets to make room for the refrigerator and a water heater. Hot water to the hand washing and lab sinks has been an issue. And they're also adding a dishwasher, which will come down here to this is the new layout. So you can see we've gone to peninsula-style lab stations in Mrs. Watt's room, which is consistent with Mr. Fournier's room, provides better visibility to all the students, pretty much anywhere the teacher may be circulating around the room. These, rather than having lab sinks within the peninsulas, as used to be standard, There'll be an island that is just for sinks. They primarily just use sinks for washing and cleaning up after lab projects, not so much for any type of experiment. So they don't really need them at each individual lab station, and this keeps the plumbing centralized. Also in each room off of this is that functioned as a peninsula lab station that is ADA accessible for anybody who may be in a wheelchair and need a lab station. So each classroom will have that. Mr. Fournier's classroom has the similar sink island with the ADA lab station. He didn't feel the need for the additional peninsula, standard peninsula lab station there. And like I said, his cabinets would be remaining original. These would just be new tops without lab sinks and gas ports because they don't get used in this classroom. Another thing that we have in here are new student desks and chairs. Mr. Fournier currently uses like a dual student table system, and he did want to keep that configuration where you have 2 students per table, but also new chairs. Just kind of standard educational supply desks and tables in that scenario. This classroom, Mrs. Watt's classroom, is completely remodeled. Like I said, all the cabinetry is new, and we'll get to that on the next page, including upper cabinets, lower cabinets in between each lab station. There's a little bit of storage around these sinks and under this lab station as well. And then within this storage room, we have a new refrigerator, a new water heater, which takes care of the sinks in both classrooms, and a residential style dishwasher adjacent to this existing sink. We're replacing the sink, but it will have a dishwasher there. And one other thing that the teachers would like to have that we had included is this classroom had no natural light whatsoever. This one did have a small existing window, but it wasn't operable. So we were adding one operable window in each classroom. I've actually been in there during times when the formaldehyde smell was a little heavy, and so the teachers asked for a way to maybe get some natural ventilation into the space. So each classroom will get a new window that is operable.
Is there still only one fume hood?
Correct. So this area is not shaded. That's the existing fume. There were 2. There's one here. We're demolishing that. We're leaving one fume hood here. We kind of left out one of the peninsulas. So this would be kind of a close quarters group session when they're doing experiments. The whole class can gather into this area and see what's happening in this fume hood. From a finishes standpoint, let's see here. The flooring is asbestos. The mastic on the current BCT flooring has asbestos. So we're plan on abating the entire area and just putting in new BCT, but there will no longer be any asbestos. And also on the asbestos front, the vermiculite insulation within the brick walls is asbestos containing. So the abatement contractor will be cutting the holes for the new windows. But that would just new flooring throughout. And currently they have ceilings about like these right here, some surface mounted strip lighting, similar to this, but we were, to modernize it a bit, we were going to put in a suspended grid ceiling with new LED fixtures, be a little cleaner, obviously a lot more light with the more efficient fixture layout than what it currently has. So a new floor, new ceiling. And this is, I'll kind of be brief here, but in general, a sink, these are elevation views of like the central sink islands of a typical classroom. This happens to be the larger one in Mrs. Watt's room that has a regular lab peninsula, and then this is the ADA lab station down here. And there are 4 sinks, two per side, back to back. One of them on the back side is ADA accessible. This one has to be a shower sink with open knee space. It can't have cabinets below it so that you can roll a wheelchair in and have access to that. So there's the existing fume hood is the only piece that stays. All new upper cabinets, and then these are all the peninsulas. One there, one there, one there. Doors, drawers, lots of storage space, consistent with what they have now, just modernized. This is new. I know they have quite a storage problem. Not so much a problem, but they have to keep a lot of things in back storage rooms that they'd rather keep out in the classroom. I think one of it was the mannequins. I think it's a human anatomy mannequins that the students work with. It's just been inconvenient to get them in and out on a daily basis. So that is the main purpose of these tall cabinets here. And this would be more of a library space that she has now, currently with some open bookshelf. This is the opposite wall, 3 more peninsulas, and one piece of open shelving. The typical student peninsula looks like this coming off of the side wall. You've got a student station with open knee space. That's a blank panel. There's actually, I don't show it here, but there's an electrical receptacle right there for microscope to plug in or any other device you're using.
So will there be more outlets? Because I know she complained that they couldn't plug in a microscope and a laptop at the same time.
Correct. So each student's space, which each peninsula will have 4, will have a duplex, a standard 2 outlets. So each student will be able to plug in 2 things at any given time. So yeah, there'll be 2 there, also on the back side. And then each side, if we look at it, this is kind of a good way to explain it. So the person that's on the end of the peninsula has a cupboard door and drawers for their lab supplies. The microscope goes in here, some of their other tools and supplies go in here. Person on the interior peninsula space actually has the exact same thing, it's just adjacent to them on the side. So their microscope would go there, and their lab supplies would be in these drawers.
Is there an eye wash station?
There is, there's one, I'm gonna go up here, go back. And that is there's currently an eye wash station that's in disrepair right here. We're replacing it with a new eye wash station in the same location. Right, we're actually.
So shower.
Yeah, it has a shower as well, correct.
Okay.
So you get chemical, it's an eye wash and a full shower. If you were to get a chemical spill on your body, you can take a full shower there. This one, I think it had been leaking over time. It actually caused some drywall and flooring damage here, which is repairing that is a part of the project in this hallway. Let's see. So the one thing, the big points I want to point out is just that Mr. Fournier's room in the current scope, it would get new countertops, but we would be leaving the existing older cabinets, which they're serviceable, but they're old. I just want everyone to be aware of that, so that when the project gets done, everybody knows, okay, yeah, that wasn't a part of it. We had to kind of weigh, cost versus benefit. So does anybody have any questions about the scope of the project? And
What's the cost difference to replace it all?
The cost difference to replace it all? I can speculate that it would cost $60,000 more to replace it all. That is just my own personal estimate. I don't have that number. The contractor did not bid that. But that would be my guess. I'm basing that off of, we have a schedule of values. We'll get into the bids that we got, and I think the cabinet bid was $120,000. But I know that includes the countertops as well, so my estimate of what one portion would be, I think it would probably be about half more. That's a plus or minus number, but that's my estimate.
Well, are we gonna have to replace them in a few years?
Mr. Fournier was actually pretty happy with what he had. He's gonna have new sinks in the middle and new countertops. His biggest want was to get some natural light in there. He is able to function with what he currently has.
Yeah, he really did, he was happy with what he had. His big concern was the natural light. And then, he just said that the usability of the current countertops with the sink in them obviously wasn't as convenient as it should be, because they don't use the sink, they're abandoned. It obstructs a large portion of the lab station, as well as they had the gas ports for Bunsen burners that also aren't used in that classroom. So a lot of the countertop space was really burned with that. And
Do we have a picture of these current units?
I can, if I can get on the internet, I can get you one. I have it on my server, I don't have one locally here. Do we have a?
One.
To the staff, okay.
So we have one eye station and one fume hood. And how many students are we looking at?
I believe that it's planned at 28 per, yeah, 28 per classroom. You know what the, okay.
Here,
Okay, you do it, yeah.
And those cabinets that are in Mr. Fournier's room, are they, I mean, do they have drawers and?
They do. We'll see some
Cabinets.
photos of them here in a minute. They have drawers. They are 50 plus years old. They're not in 100% condition, definitely, but they're in serviceable condition. They function. I mean, I think I could probably find a picture of a drawer corner that's chipped or something, but they do have drawers. They do have cabinet doors, and they currently hold the supplies. And we were listening to what the teachers felt their needs were, and Mr. Fournier, said, I'm working okay with the cabinets I have. His only concern was the countertops, and we said, okay, we'll just look at replacing the
Is that
countertops.
okay, sir?
And what color are the countertops going to be?
I absolutely might ask that, so I brought a little sample. A dark charcoal color, pretty standard here, we can pass it.
The standard black looking?
Yeah,
If they
we
have it.
didn't go with all the way black, so the countertop material, also, yeah, we can pass that around if anybody wants to do that. That's called acrylic solid surface. Some people may have it in their homes. It's very chemically resistant, it's fairly heat resistant. It's a good, for the chemicals that get used and the type of science experiments that get done in our science classrooms here, it's a good middle of the road product. If we were using, college level, very, very, very potent acids and doing more complex experiments, there are better products, but they're much more expensive. That one's going to be resistant to pretty much any chemical that gets used in the science classroom with zero effect, and it's more budget oriented. It's homogeneously colored, so if it does get damaged or somebody decides to carve their name in it or something, you can just use like a random orbital sander and go buff it out. I mean, it's a half inch thick the same, so anything that does happen to it, it's easily repairable, unlike, Formica or laminate, where once it gets a chip, it's kind of a light spot and there's no way to repair it.
And are they going to have the rounded edges?
Correct. The edges will be radius, the quarter-inch radius at the top and into the sinks. The sinks are a lab epoxy resin sink, which is chemical resistant sink. They make solid surface sinks, but only in very light colors, white, basically shades of white, and the teachers were worried about it, and I would too, that they're going to be more prone to staining versus a dark color, especially with some of the dyes used. So we did use more of a traditional lab sink that's the epoxy resin lab grade sinks. So that's the countertop material, and the new cabinets would be this color of a laminate, plastic laminate door and drawer fronts and cabinet ends. Everything that's exposed is that. We're gonna pull up the existing color is brown. The ones that will be remaining in Mr. Foreman's room. Let's see if I can. This is Mrs. Watt's room, but we'll give you an idea of what the cabinets look like. Let's see if I can find Mr. Foreman's room. This is an example of what this is in Mr. Fournier's room, so these would be the cabinet bases that would be staying. These are the unused gas and water and sink that take up a majority of, and old unused penetrations that take up a lot of these peninsula tops. So students are kind of stuck with a pretty small work area without having things fall in the sink or having this, having the sinks get in the way. So that is what's been discussed being replaced. And we currently have bids to replace all of these existing tops, which are stained and 50 years old. These are an epoxy resin type, which are more prone to staining. They're very heavy, kind of a man-made slate material, if you will. But let's see.
How much would it be to like restain the current ones?
At least a third of that probably. I mean, so that's pretty labor intensive. Of the 60 that I quoted, I'd say 20 plus. We pay somebody to sand them all down and refinish them.
I will tell you that I like the resin that they're using for the countertops. I spent 40 years of my career in a lab, and so I'm real particular about the countertops. And, you know, that's why I asked if they had the rounded edges
Yeah,
and the color.
They do, yeah, the color, and this is just, there are a lot of other, but this happens to be the one that, actually, Mr. Fournier had to go to emergency dental, visit the day we were looking at colors. Mrs. Watts looked at this. She is actually a fan of darker. The only thing, they have a black. I recommend, this has you'll notice a little bit of kind of sand texture in it. It's gonna look
Yeah, I like
cleaner
that.
over time. It's just, you know, if you have jet black, any little scratch or speck or stain or piece of dust is gonna stand out more. It doesn't affect the performance, but.
Black is terrible, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's just, it shows everything. So this will hide a lot of student abuse, I think, over time, a little better than a solid dark color would.
Well, it'll also you'll be able to see any kind of stain in it, so, you know, real dark, ugly stains you'll be able to clean up.
Right. Yeah, this should hide pretty well without detracting from a clean surface to do their experiments on. And there are, like I said, there are some other colors. We likely, before we sign off on final color, have make sure everybody's on board with that color. There are some similar ones. They'll all be basically that color. And the sinks are a similar color to that as well. The sink bowls and they're undermount, so
Okay.
any material, you know, there'll be a kind of a lip on the countertop itself. The sink will sit back away, so you can just take anything that happens to, you know, wipe anything off the countertop into the sink. It'll fall directly in the sink. No lip, no rim that collects grime.
So we've got two different science teachers, but they've got different needs, clearly. Is that because of the class or the grade they're teaching? And is it always going to be that way?
Yeah, I mean, so that's a question, but it is because of class,
Okay.
right, and the space. But we can, because, you know, like biology, which is vastly different than our chemistry and those things, you would look at, if we did the same model in both classrooms, I think you're wasting a lot of space and stuff like that for what Fournier needs, or whoever teaches that class in the future, right? We're looking 10, 15, 20 years, that they need more space back there than that. So yeah, there might be some shifting of teachers based on space, but I think this is long-term a better solution for what we need.
I can say, from spending a good portion of my high school career in those two classrooms, that side is more of the biology side than the other side, the chemistry side. And it seems to have been that way pretty much for the last 30 plus years, so.
So plugins is always an issue, right? Does Fournier's need more plugins added while we've got countertops ripped off?
I did ask him that. He said they have only 2 per side. So there, you can see one right there, and then kind of the kitty corner location as well. They have 2. I asked him. He said he was okay with the 2. I don't know if that's the right answer.
He's not gonna be here forever, what about the
Yeah,
next?
yeah, the
And,
next one,
you know, we need
we
to
can
plan
add
for the
them.
future.
One downside, I will say, in recent history, Oregon Energy Code, in speaking with my electrical engineer, that we chose not to. 50% of all new receptacles in a classroom have to be controlled by an occupancy sensor within the room. So that, which seems kind of absurd to me. I don't know why you need to turn outlets off. Lights, you know, we've done that for decades now, where the lights are automatic when you come into a room or go out of a room to try and save energy. But new rule is in classrooms scenarios, 50% have to be controlled. We were able to, which would require some significant rewiring, if that makes sense, in any given existing classroom in order to meet that need. We were able to take care of it in Mrs. Watt's chemistry classroom easier because we have all new receptacles and a lot of them in the peninsula. So we're able to basically not have that count against us so badly with the existing ones that are around the classroom, so we don't have to go tear into every wall and try to rewire it into an occupant sensor room. We just met the code by making half of them, half of the ones in the peninsula workstations on the occupancy sensor, or approximately half, so that we were meeting code. So that is one challenge. If we do add them, you know, if we leave, we are replacing that they are, I think, the original receptacles for the most part, and he mentioned most of them are very loose and something, you know, kind of jiggle and don't work very well. So we're going to replace the receptacles. But if we were to add receptacles, I know we would have to enforce that 50% on an occupancy sensor rule. So the cost would be higher than just kind of what it would normally be to add receptacles in the space. That doesn't mean that it's not a good idea to have them. I know that teaching is pretty digital anymore, and everybody's got their laptop and their whatever else you need to plug in.
Are you replacing flooring?
Correct. With the new color, but basically the same product, VCT tile. It's very durable, but this particular VCT tile is asbestos. We're just getting rid of that and going back with the vinyl, only non-asbestos tile.
So with all the dissecting they do in biology, they don't need sinks at their station?
No. Well, no. That's a teacher question, but no. They. Let me see if I can go back to. They don't. Well, and I think the dissection. So, you're gonna have to talk to the class study here on what it is, but I know like Mr. Fournier's room, that's like natural science, as opposed to biology maybe. Because I think he doesn't really do a lot of dissecting in his class at all. But I noticed the dissection was happening in the chemistry classroom. She must do biology.
She's they changed that when Miss Watts got here.
Okay.
Because he used to,
that
class used to be.
He used to teach biology and AP, but I think she teaches.
No, before her.
What's that?
The teacher, the lady teacher that used to have all the cool stuff.
Amber?
Amber.
Yeah, she was awesome.
You know, that's something we need to think about, is that this is the first remodel in 50 years. And so we need to look a little bit ahead, like 20 years ahead at least. So, you know, as far as the electrical goes. And I do question the thing about if one fume hood is enough. You talked about the venting as it is now, that they wanted to be able to open more windows.
Yeah.
Is there another way to have more venting in the ceiling or whatever?
There is, and I know that the venting was their secondary goal. I think that one of the main reasons is just, you know, natural light is good for us as humans for a lot of reasons. And Mrs. Watts' room for sure had zero natural light. So, and this is the north exterior wall, so that's good natural light to have. You don't have any issues with solar, with glare and anything like that. So, but venting, I mean, there are other ways to vent the space mechanically with an exhaust fan. I don't
Well, that's what I'm thinking of, is an exhaust fan, just,
Yeah.
since you're gonna take out the ceiling tile.
And what we're actually doing, because the ceiling tile itself is not asbestos, but behind the ceiling tile, there's drywall up there.
Okay.
And the joint compound on all of the drywall, and anywhere wall, ceiling, you name it, is asbestos containing. So we are leaving those ceiling tiles in place, and we
Okay.
encapsulate it, and then just hanging a new suspended ceiling over it to save a little bit on abatement costs.
We've had a couple pictures of ceiling there. They look like they're very different colors.
Yeah, there's some of
They've been replaced
let me see-
over time.
Correct, let me see if I can find the section.
They were
Oh,
done-
there we go,
They
okay.
were done when we did the HVAC system.
Yeah.
That portion of the ceiling was abated.
It's, this first 6 feet adjacent to the corridor, so the south edge of those rooms was abated. Once again, those are new tile. The drywall behind that was abated as part of a previous HVAC project, so with that part is not asbestos, but the remaining 2/3, we'll call it, of the classroom going to the north wall is still asbestos containing drywall. Basically, it's everything this side of the strip lights over here. And this area must not have been abated for some reason, but a majority of both classrooms, the space between the first strip light and the wall on the adjacent to the corridor has been abated. So the rest of the room is not. And once again, the plan would be to leave that so it does not have to be abated. It's in good condition. The ceiling tiles aren't going to fall off in time.
They're not gonna fall off. They don't look great.
They're a little yellow. They don't look great, but they're stuck on very well. So it would just be to hang a new ceiling down, only about 9 or 10 inches lower, so you'd still have
So you'll keep them, you'll just move them down.
well, no, you won't, but there'll be the 2 foot by 4 foot ceiling tiles like you would see in a lot more modern buildings. And let me see if I have that.
Mr. Harley, when was the last time you were in the middle school? And when you enter the middle school, they actually have the drop down ceiling.
So you won't see those tiles there?
No, they'll be completely hidden behind new, larger, let's see if I can find.
Yeah, you won't see them.
Well, those are 2 by 2.
It'll look like a new ceiling even though
Yes,
the old one's
yeah.
there.
I wanna see if I can- These are all showing as 2 by 2, but
Yeah, that's.
there'll be 2 foot by 4 foot panels, like, it'll look like this, with new HVAC registers and lights that fit within that grid, that modular grid, 2 feet by 4 feet. Pretty much any more modern, school, bank, anything you walk into is gonna have some type of a suspended acoustical ceiling in it. It makes it a little easier, from a serviceability standpoint too, going into the future, you end up with a space above, you can take these tiles out very easily with your hands. So if you need to run new electrical or data or wireless access points or even plumbing for that matter, you kind of have a plenum space that's concealed to do it surface mounted rather than trying to have to run something through an attic or in the wall. You get kind of a free utility chase over the top of your ceiling.
So to me, when I look at like what the plan is, everything is brand new, it's gonna look great, you're gonna walk in and be super proud of it, except for that. And I may be the only one that's bothered by that, and maybe it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal because they're functional. But on the flip side, people are gonna walk and say,
And then are we gonna have to replace them in
But-
10 or 15 years? So
Couldn't
we'll
we just-
do it all.
you know, I don't,
A coat of paint
With
can do
with that in
wonders.
mind.
paint,
that's
stain.
true.
But he said it was gonna be like a third of the price, just to paint your stage.
Right, no, but I'm,
Well, you might be able to paint without having to stand up on stage.
yeah,
would it be much different for paint?
No, the paint that you would want, the paint that I recommend you use on science
Where
classroom
it's gonna be
cabinets
wet.
that
Would
kids
have to
are gonna
be.
be banging around every day is gonna be an enamel, and it's gonna cost quite a bit to paint them as well.
So it's gonna cost around, you think, $20,000 to make that look newer.
and about how much to replace the cabinets?
You said 60.
I think 60.
60.
I think you could make both classrooms look the same for an additional 60. please don't quote me on 60, but I
Sure,
think that's a pretty
I mean,
good
it's an estimate.
number. You know,
So to me, the question is that,
could be 50, could be 75, but I think 60 is, that's my middle of the road number. And currently, as I say, the low bid cabinet builder that has bid, we'll get into the bidding here in a second, is the Oregon Department of Corrections.
sure.
The prison will be building. So
I've seen
I
the
think we
work
get,
though,
I
it's
think we would get a fair price if you decided that, yeah, we need to replace those cameras. I don't think they would try and, you know, make a new gen. I think they would give you a fair price to add that.
Ryan, Crystal,
Well, how about this, we could give you a ballpark, and that's what he's gonna cover in a second, right, is when we started the project, we were thinking about $250,000 to upgrade those, right, $250,000. Kind of where we're at without replacing those things. And I think Houston will tell you right now where we at with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go, so we bid these, well, let's just say there are two projects. There's asbestos abatement, so to abate the flooring and also the brick wall and a little bit of drywall that's gonna be required to access plumbing and electrical and HVAC and everything. The ballpark, we did a drywall unit price, so this number, the general contractor will come in with their electrician and plumber and every electrician or plumber is gonna have a little different game plan on how they plan on attack to remodel. So we'll let them mark what they need to remove. The safe number here is 7,000 in my mind, so it's $63,000 is the asbestos abatement portion. To remove the flooring, cut holes in the exterior wall for new exterior windows. They'll actually be doing they'll be removing, yes, the fume hood that we're removing is asbestos, has asbestos in it. Some of the pieces under the countertops have asbestos. So they're basically doing 95% of the demolition work. The contractors pretty much, they don't have to remove much. The asbestos abatement contractor will be removing a majority of the demolition. The construction contractor doesn't have much demolition in their scope, other than light fixtures, pretty much. So there's that number. Here is, we only received one bid. I think there were six abatement contractors directly contacted. I believe 4 showed up at the pre-bid meeting and only 1 provided a bid.
Biggest issue was the timeline.
Yeah. There are a lot of school districts that like to do projects in the summer, so that window gets pretty busy for the abatement contractors. From the construction standpoint, we received 4 bids, with the apparent low bidder being CB Construction. They're out of LeGrand at $463,000. The other second was $493, $518, and right below was at $660. That seems a little high. So that's your apparent low bidder is $463,000. They did make, there was a discrepancy on their bid form. It's not uncommon. There's even a procedure for it right next to where they made the mistake. Kind of like writing a check, you have to write it in words and then also write it in numerals. They transposed a couple numbers on the numerals. The written amount takes precedent, and it was written in their bid in 4 total places. 3 of them all matched the written amount. They just made 1 error. So that is a waivable offense should you choose to accept the bid to do the work.
Where's the ASA construction?
They are, well, they've been on some other projects. I've never worked with them before. They've been on some Ontario School District work. They were originally out of Portland area, I want to say Escalada, and a year ago. And then they talked about wanting to expand to the valley over here, and I think they have a Nampa office now. They started a Nampa office, but they're originally Portland area.
But they have an office in Nampa.
Correct.
Can any
brand
of these
new one.
companies guarantee that it will be done by the time school starts?
No, we can ask them to, we tell them to, we say that it has to be done by this date.
And can we put something in the contract for every day you're late?
It's currently, it's $500 per day. I know.
Better than that.
I know. Well, and it's funny how that works, and I agree, in this situation, maybe it should be higher. It's not supposed to be a penalty. Liquidated damages is what that's called, and the law around it says it's not supposed to penalize the contractor, it's supposed to be a true amount of what the owner would be damaged if they really are. Which, in this case, like, yeah, you got students displaced, if like one classroom's ready, like, yeah, you're probably gonna find a way to put them down the hall in a different classroom or whatever it may be. I don't know how you do it, but that if it were to go to court and they wanted to argue over liquidated damages, it can't be a penalty. It has to be a true, burden to the owner.
And go back to the question.
But yeah,
sooner-
$500.
The sooner the decision's made
Right.
to move forward, the quicker
But
they will feel
can we put
comfortable.
something like that in the contract? Because I know we didn't with the turf and stuff or the playground equipment.
The only thing you can put in there is the $500 a day. They are, let me pull something up for you. This is what they bid the project off of. I will, scroll through it. Oh, here we go. Work sequence. Okay, so we're already late. Here we are, we're right in here. So we told them that we would let them know that they did the project on the 20, let's see, it must have been the 25th of March, but we told them we're gonna tell them that we're gonna award it to them as soon as possible, get a contract signed on the 10th, and then the 13th, these are all tentative dates. They would have a notice to proceed that, yes, start going, because some of the issues are gonna be, there's a lot of countertop materials, there's a lot of plastic lantern materials, making sure that they've got enough stock, they can get it in. I would expect that the cabinet builders, whoever their non-prison counterparts are out, or would probably try and come schedule time to measure, they're gonna start pre-building cabinets to go in these places. So they want to get going as soon as possible to get materials ordered. And then last day of school, I believe, is 28th. So owner has 3 days to get everything out of drawers and off walls, and as much as they can emptied out. It can just be moved into corridors wherever it needs to go. Other storage rooms that we aren't using. Asbestos abatement lasts for 2 weeks. June 1st, I believe that's a Monday, and and then the 12th, they would be completed. And construction can begin until June 13th. They have to be substantially complete by August 3rd, which basically means they're down to things that don't really affect the use of the space. If we're down to, we need touch-up paint and a little bit of caulk here and there, or we're missing a couple light fixtures, but the space is usable, that is substantial completion. The owner can use it without undue problem. And then final completion, August 10th. And that was based on a projected first day of school of 17.
Yeah, the teachers are back on that.
The teachers are back on the 10th, right. Okay, that's the teachers are back. So I think that pretty much, and that's only a 7-week window.
Why is the owner provided asbestos abatement?
Well, it just means, it says it in here, because this is to the construction contractor. When I say owner provided, it just means a separate contract. The construction contractor was knowing that the asbestos abatement is provided under a separate asbestos abatement contract from an asbestos abatement contract.
But the general's gonna be the one correlating that with the asbestos abatement company anyway, right?
No.
Well, if the subs are coming in and saying, remove this piece. remove
Correct.
this piece,"
On day one,
I mean,
they are. Yeah, on day one, they're gonna come just say, we need this removed. Then, basically, no one is allowed in the asbestos abatement contractors kind of work solo. No one else is allowed in there during abatement until they receive the all clear and their test results come back that there are no private particles in the air. So,
Is that
it could just
doable in
say,
2 weeks?
what's that?
Is that doable in 2 weeks? That seems really fast.
It is really, it's doable. I had another owner tried to make it happen in 1 week last summer, and I told him that it wasn't doable, and it wasn't. It was 2 weeks. similar scope. 2 weeks is fast, yeah. There can't be any, as with any really short abbreviated construction timeline like this, there's not a lot of room for error. There's not a lot of room for oops, we lost a few days here or there because somebody was sick or we didn't do something right. It is doable, but.
Do you have issues with that though, not being run by the general? I mean, because now you have two different contracts. And if this one calls for a penalty, but the asbestos abatement contractor holds things that doesn't remove something for one plumber, one electrician, and it's 2 weeks before they can get back out. Now the penalty is completely out the window.
Yep, that would be, that is true. That is true, yeah, your liquidated damages does go out the window. If,
But what sub has it done on the day it's supposed to be done?
But also back to, yeah, and back to liquidated damages here, I'll throw in my own little what if. I mean, a little bit, it's set $500 a day, and it sounds like nothing, because it is nothing in this day and age, it seems like, but if I wanted to bid this project and said, I know I can't be done until August 27th, I would just throw $10,000 extra dollars at it, or whatever that number may be, and I bid it that way, and maybe I got the project. Is that ethical by any means? No. Should any contractor do that? No. Do I have any way to make anybody not do that? Not really. We can only go by what we can find on a contractor's track record. They seem to be a reputable company. You can talk to some of their previous clients if you want to look them up. As with any publicly funded project, it's very difficult to realistically not go with the low bidder unless you have a legitimate reason to. Well, you can, but they can protest and make all our lives not very happy for a while. Have to jump through a lot of hoops to show why you shouldn't go with the low bidder unless there's some real evidence that they've failed to perform work in similar to the project or similar type of thing, or they're debarred. There are lots of reasons, but I don't know of any of those existing for any of the contractors that bid this project.
Have you worked with any of these contractors that bid these projects?
I have.
Do we need to make a recommendation tonight, or?
We would like to.
Okay.
You know, we've gone through and we've done all the work and we've got the scope, we did the bidding, our committee sat down and looked at all of those, and so we feel very confident in our process right now, I guess. You know, the question is, do you want to throw an extra $60,000 to put more cabinets in or not, which changes the scope, but again.
Or 20, I
We're
mean,
already-
I'm fine, if they
Is that out of
work, you
the
could just give them a
budget,
facelift.
I agree with that.
I just think if we're gonna do it, let's do it all and do it right.
I think the facelift would, I
Don't
mean,
you
because you're
think so?
talking 10%, raising the cost 10%.
Those look like solid wood cabinets too. I mean, what are they replacing in the other one? Are they a
But they're already
standard
50
MDF?
years old.
Yeah, they'd be a plastic laminate overlaid MDF with PVC edge banding.
So there's a good chance the cabinets in Fournier's room with a facelift will outlive the new cabinets.
Yeah, I'm just saying, they're already over.
I don't know how the
50 years
hardware
old.
is. you know,
My biggest opinion is, if you have an entire space that looks new and beautiful, and you leave that, that's the
Right.
only thing people are gonna see.
It's the old
And
crappy
it's
cabinets.
the old crappy cabinet. And if they have at least a facelift, it'll look at least new, and people won't say, well, everything looks great except that, you know?
Well,
And it is Craig Fournier that says we're fine.
And we may not
This is
have it, but,
Dude, would that change our timeline if we're looking at bringing finishers in to do those rather than hand
No,
replacement?
I don't think that'd change anything. Like I said, I'm not the contractor and don't tell them how to do their business, but I would think that the cabinet builders, as soon as the contract is signed with the general and they know that they have the project, are gonna be saying, hey, I know we're supposed to order materials, but can we come and measure the classrooms? Those walls aren't gonna change. We're not moving any walls. They're gonna try to come out Friday and measure and pre-build as many of these boxes as they possibly can, would be my guess. So I think they have plenty of time between now and July. when they
I say if we can
install.
afford it, let's do this.
And I think that's the question. 'cause-
I asked Crystal, she said yes.
So we can afford it, but we're 213,000 over the original anticipated. So what are we robbing to do this? Like, I know the money's there, but where are we taking the
So
money
we
from?
literally, like, we have our list of projects we wanna do at the district. Well, now this is basically doubling what we thought it was gonna be, so we're just kind of pushing things back further out, so. the
Okay,
next-
so we're not shifting the money from anywhere right now, we're just putting some other projects.
They're just gonna farther
What-
down the road.
What projects are we pushing out?
Yeah, I really value Fournier's opinion about you. Fournier has good sense.
Pushing out.
All of a sudden, they're great.
So you're looking at right now, so remember my phase projects that we had based
Yes.
on?
Where's the mat, the new mat room?
Yeah, and so so those projects, and luckily we've done some work to increase our revenue through that. But our big projects right now that might need to be pushed back a little bit are the auditorium, gym, HVAC, and the new wrestling facility, sports complex / CTE municipal virtual buildings.
But we're gonna start that anyway, right?
We're gonna start that next summer, and so what we do is we put that money, kind of build up those accounts to be able to write a check.
But the gym, are we not, don't we have a leaking roof with the gym?
Yes, and so,
And is that
And
gonna
the
push
cafeteria.
back? Right, the
Cafeteria's the
cafeteria
next
won't
project.
get.
And that's gonna go,
Right.
yeah, that's going no matter what. And so what we have to do is, right now, we'll have to relook at all of our numbers, all of our projections. I mean, we can do it right now, that's not an issue. It changes maybe the scope of what we wanna get done.
I just wanna make sure we're not giving up something that's gonna cause a structural issue that's gonna cost us $400,000 more because it got pushed down the road.
And those things would be priority, the auditorium HVAC roof, and those would be priority on it.
Okay.
But again, we are increasing our revenue through there, so I think, again, that's what Crystal and I will have to look at. So,
And this extra 20,000, is that gonna, if, we know it's not
An
exactly
extra number,
20,000.
an extra
The extra number, maybe 20, maybe 30, maybe 50,
Yeah.
don't know yet, but. is
I
that
don't think
gonna
that's
cost
enough to
us?
cancel a project.
Okay, well, I'm not saying cancel, is it enough to
Or
say,
push it.
we can't do that facelift right now, because all of the rest of that could be done, or we could bring somebody in next summer to finish cabinetry.
Yeah.
I mean, they can
That's
paint with
true.
countertops on. Is that, would that be a recommendation, or is the recommendation financially, let's just get it done?
Jesse, what's your opinion?
If we're gonna go all in, let's go all in.
In my opinion, doesn't really, it's the least important of what, I mean, I'd love to see new cabinets under there myself, but I don't have to pay the bill to do that. I mean, I would rather draw new cabinets, but I also have to respect a reasonable budget and what you have to spend for the space, the way you need it.
I would say what we would do is approve up to the 60,000 for the new cabinets.
But if we're doing new cabinets, we're doing new electrical too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying, and look at that for, say, hey, let's approve up to this, and if we decide that those numbers are numbers, because we gotta get going. Right, if we're gonna do this this summer, we have to get going. We approve that up to that number, and what we'd say is, nope, we're gonna have to redo them. I honestly, mine would just to replace them to get it all done, because you never know what happens when you start sanding and doing that.
So replace them with a caveat at $60,000. If it's more than that, you look at refinishing.
And like I said, we can even do some things in-house to help refinish and to look at that, and so it's not always, I mean, like I said, we could do that at another time, and our guys can get in there and do some things as well, so.
Jesse, are those cabinets in good condition? I
They
mean,
are, some of them need some time here and there, but they are in good condition, everything's functional.
But how old are they, 55 years?
Actually, my
But they're
cabinet's
a
pretty
lot.
small.
But the flip side of that is, like,
I really
Marty
like
said,
those.
they may outlast the new one. They don't build them
I know.
that way anymore.
Yeah, like the old school fridges and the new fridges, you know, you got
Washers.
5 years.
Washers.
Washers.
Everything has a lifespan, right? These 50-year-old cabinets might last for 10 more, but I don't think the MDF will last as long as these
Right,
have.
but I do agree that they need to, if we're gonna do it all new, let's do it all new.
So what I would say is make a motion of, so right now we're looking at 584 plus 60,000. And so, what I would say is make a motion on that saying,
And if it's more than 60, come back and talk to us.
yep, that's what I'd say.
All right, can we do that tonight?
If you guys feel comfortable, we can, because Megan put on there that action may be taken.
All
And
right.
so now is our preference, so it works out well.
And we need to approve.
And are we
the bidder.
approving the bidder as well?
Yes.
Are we saying we need to go for the low bid then, is that?
Yep, and that's what the group said, the committee got together, looked at all of them, looked at, their companies and that's what we approved.
And
So
then, they said they're in Pendleton?
So we need to
Is
do
that a
two
problem?
motions, one to approve the bidder and one to approve the budget.
No, that wouldn't be a problem.
No, the budget would have all of that in there, so it would just make, it would be one motion to approve it all.
Okay.
With,
With us up to 60,000 per cabinet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run through this with you real quick. So this is their actual bid form. And it's such a common occurrence that we put right here next to where they write it. Bid amounts are to be in words and numbers. In the event of a discrepancy, the alphabetical written amount will be used. And as you can see, it says 463,000, but they wrote 436 in the book. Farther down the bid form, it's very clear, 463. If you were to add all of these line items together, it would total 463. They conveyed what their intended amount was. The second place bidder did unofficially protest. They can't protest until you actually award it to someone else. But I explained to them, I said, yes, I don't think you're gonna, you can do whatever you want.
They're higher than
You're you,
463.
but I told them the rules and explained, I said, I don't think you're gonna get away with this. So I think that was just a little flex of muscle.
And in this
They
bid,
wanted
there
us
is
to
the
not-
thing that it's $500 a day for everything they're not done.
Correct. That is.
I'll supervise if they need to cut 36,000 out.
Yeah, right here, that's right here. They sign right here, it says the owner reserves the right to assess contract delivery damage in the sum of $500 per calendar day. Until we're substantially complete.
Even weekend days.
Correct, yeah, it's every single day. Yeah,
Okay.
it counts, everything, it's $3,500 a week.
Even
Yeah, holidays, doesn't matter, it is any calendar day counts.
I make a motion, we accept that bid with up to 60,000 for extra cabinets.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Susie and seconded by, seconded by Nick to approve the bid provided and with up to $60,000 additional for cabinetry, depending on things.
As soon as we let the contractor know that we're gonna intend to award it to them, I can ask them to provide pricing to basically mirror the other classroom. And what I would say is, if I go back, Mr. Fournier probably, he does not have a bunch of upper he doesn't have a lot of upper cabinets, and he has a lot of animals on display, so I think we could probably even work with the numbers to get it if we needed to get a little less, but at least replace the base cabinets under the countertops. I don't think Mr. Fournier would be interested in quite as many upper cabinets, so.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I think we should have a caveat in the motion, though,
Okay.
that $60,000 includes, it's not gonna be what would you call it, per board foot, what's the right term for cabinetry?
Oh, yeah,
Because
but
I don't
we
want-
do
I don't
base
want-
cabinets, and there are ways to estimate them by the linear footage of across a base cabinet versus an upper cabinet.
I don't wanna be in a situation where we're getting 2/3 the amount of cabinets and still paying the same price for that additional 2/3 cabinets.
Oh, right.
We'll make
I-
a motion for the approval of the funds.
Yes.
Not so much what they,
Yeah, you're still gonna have to, it's not an official, a change order would come here, you can look at that, would say, okay, this is what we're getting, and it costs
That's fair.
X dollars, and then you can make that decision.
Okay.
But I do agree that you should move forward with a reasonable construction budget based on that, plus 60 to say, yes, assuming we can get it done for that, we're in to spend that on this project.
Okay.
No caveat needed.
It's been moved and it's been seconded. We'd like a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed?
He's in favor,
Sorry.
so, yeah, you too, right?
The motion carries.
we'll just put the office on hold for the rest of it.
Yeah.
We'll now move on to the next item, social science curriculum.
Perfect. So, and Mrs. Burbank here again, I know we talked about last month about the science curriculum adoption. We are ready to move forward and to present the science curriculum that we'd like adopted. And so she's here to answer any other questions. When we talked about it, we're in the middle of the pilot. And so we actually feel very confident about the curriculum that we're going to be proposing to you guys. And they are
TCI for elementary and high school, and then Sabbath for middle school.
Yes.
Yes. And we'll be getting the digital licenses for the elementary, and then the actual textbooks for the middle school and high school. And one middle school classroom would really like some maps as well, which I heard a lot about them. So those are, that is what we're looking at right now. The elementary school has been piloting the TCI, and they are still really liking it. They feel like it's easy to use. The English and Spanish versions are very easy to navigate to, use, easy to print off, and they seemed really happy with it. Middle school didn't pilot, but they looked thoroughly through the books and really liked how it spoke to middle school students. It was a better bridge than going from TCI from kindergarten all the way through high school, using Savas in the middle. Kind of broke it up for one thing, but also it was just a little bit more appropriate for middle school. TCI kind of jumped to a high school textbook when it got to middle school, and the middle school teachers were like, this is not developmentally appropriate for our kids. It still needs to be colorful, it still needs to be engaging. They're not high schoolers yet. And so they chose the Savas version and then TCI for high school, which was just full of information, which is what the high school teachers really wanted. So, yeah, so do you have any questions for me about those? Anything you need from me? I'll be coming back, obviously, for the board, and I'm hoping to get a couple teachers to come and talk about it, but sometimes they come, sometimes they don't.
I don't have a question, but I wanted just to point out that as a parent, when my daughter had homework from the social science curriculum, it was easy for me to follow along with her and help her with her little diagrams and her maps. And it correlated what the world map would be into what she could understand to draw out her classroom map and where kids sit and how to bring that back to what a map was like. So I thought that was kind of cool that it uses what they know to where it is they're going. That's pretty cool. I don't know if
That's really neat.
We didn't pay her to say that.
No, I just had a help with the packet.
Yeah. Any questions about anything about the curriculum, about processes or anything? So we just want, when we bring it to you guys, you know, the process going through, and we're extremely confident in what we're giving our K through 12. So.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, Mary Bell. That really, it does sort of bring the parent aspect.
Everybody's looking at the clock like I can go watch the game. Anyway.
If there are no questions, then we'll move on to the general contractor RFQ.
Perfect. You'll see in your packet, there's the recommendation for a general contractor. This is the same process we use to hire our general architect, which is Slider Zimmerman. Anyway, and so Slider, is it? I always get that wrong. That's why I just say Zimmerman. And the process that we went through, I don't have enough for the board. I apologize on that. I am also passing something out that talks about the process when we use a general contractor or a general architect. And this should help line out some of those questions that we had from last time. If you see, it doesn't like our architect, it doesn't mean that we as a school district are saying, Jesse and Ryan, now you can spend whatever you want. We said you could use a journal, do whatever you want, whenever you want. So we have kind of two things that would rule us on. Like any sort of product or service that we buy that's over $50,000 has to have bidding approval. So it can't be. We can't just say, keep going. By the way, make it $49,900. So there's one measure that you know
The total project.
No, their services. So like, say the general contractor, if, you know, just says, hey, we need a shed out there, and, you know, call our general contractor, I need you to get on this. He's like, actually, we can do it, we got Zimmerman's, we got their plans. It's gonna cost, you know, for our cost, it's gonna be about $60,000, we can get all the contract. And it's like, at that point, we're gonna have to bid your, as a general contractor, out.
So when you say your cost, we're just talking about what they take of their profits from,
Yeah.
and what, that's usually 10%? What is that?
Well, and that's the whole reason why we bid it out, because it just kind of depends. And so one thing about
But
hiring,
what's theirs?
yeah, that's hiring a general contractor. What you're doing is not only do you have a trusted partner that we work with, and we've dealt with in all of our bigger projects, the middle school, the high school HVAC, all of those things, is not only do we say they've done it in other places, they don't overcharge, they do that, and we have a good relationship with them. So that is the reason for that.
But what, in their quote chart,
They just charge a flat rate, no matter what the size of the project is.
and what is that rate?
I don't know. No, that's what you're asking?
Yeah.
It's all based on the size of the project.
Yeah.
They don't give a,
Yeah, it's
Charge
not, they're not
10%
charging
of the
$5,000 for a 10,000, a 50,000, and then $5,000 for a $500,000 or $2 million project.
Yeah. So it's not just a certain percentage they charge us every time. Because like I said, the architect was a great example of
Based on
that.
the size of the project.
Sometimes they need an electrical engineer writing those plans, so like the bus barn, or the bus covered area, they didn't have to go through all of those things. And so they were able to do it cheaper than if they would have had to. And so, you'll see on the back of that, it says, when do we RFP? And this will give you guys a good measure. It's in color too. When as a district, we're gonna use that RFP. We have to go for a request for proposal when these things. And I think it's important to know that the reason why we have a general architect and a general contractor is we talk about safety, knowledge of schools, familiarity with our NISA school district, talk about cost-effective measures and efficiency for us, flexibility, trusted partnerships are huge. Because like you said, it's like, well, where is this company at? Where is this company at? Based on our committee, Bennington Construction would be our general contractor. They're a trusted partner. They work in schools. They know prevailing wages need to go in. They know all of these things, and they're all over East Oregon. So that's the reason why we want to use them on a consistent basis. Every time we call them, we know we get a trusted partner who knows how to deal with schools and what's best for kids and safety and those things. So,
Can you shed a little light on what your experience is with they?
Oh, Benson, let's see, yeah, I worked with Benson on several projects dating all the way back to probably, project I worked on probably like about 2009. They've always been a great team. I don't have anything bad to say about Benson. I don't know of any owners that do, that haven't
Didn't
been
they go to
satisfied.
middle school?
And the high school, that's my story about them. The HVAC system, they were new.
Yeah. They've got good leadership, good superintendent. And depending on the project type and size, I think they generally get the person that is, you know, the person you need for that project. They probably, you know, there are probably people who are better off at being a superintendent for a brand new school versus some of your smaller, more remodel projects. They're perfectly capable of doing that. I did 2 projects with them last year, both were fine, on time, under budget, so I've been very happy with them in my experience.
does anybody have any questions about that whole thing?
So, I just want to make sure that we understand as a board, like, most of the time, most general contractors can take, you know, they're gonna make a profit off of what they're doing. If we gave it a general number of like a 10%, which is pretty common, they're gonna make a off of the total cost. We're basically allowing them to take projects, at least of a $500,000 project. That would be a general statement that is true. So, are we comfortable with that idea?
No, by law, any project over 50,000, we have to get bids for.
Yeah, any project over 50,000, no matter what.
Yeah.
Not their profit
It's not
margin.
the profit.
Yeah,
Any
it
total
is
profit.
the actual construction rounds.
Yeah.
Doesn't include like architect and engineering fees, but hard, real construction costs
Yeah.
are included in that.
Every bit.
Yep. And we don't have a choice on that, we have to.
But
And I think what you look at, something like the cafeteria, right, we're able to call, Dion and Zimmerman and Bryce at Bennington and say, hey, you guys are trusted partners, help us with this. That's just a general, like, help us, because this is an area we don't know, right? And it's just really nice to have those partners to be able to kind of come and do that. We're not locked into any selective, we can only use them forever. We do want to, put in our contract and, looking like, anytime that we use this general contractor, we'd like to go as local as possible with things, and kind of put that stipulation with them as well. But it's just really nice having a local partner you can trust that we can call in anytime.
I think this is the key that I'm okay with. The superintendent or designee is authorized to enter into an approved payment on contracts obligating district funds not to exceed $50,000 for products, materials, supplies, capital outlay, and services that are within current budget appropriations. So if we're not approving, you can just go do any project under $50,000.
Yeah.
It has to be in the budget already.
Yes.
And that's when we're approving architectural work, general contractor work. It's gone through the budget process, it's approved. We're saying you don't have to come to us for an additional project. But over 50, we're gonna have to get bids anyway, and then we'll have to approve any project over 50.
And all those things will be given to Jesse and I before they're started, under 50,000.
Right?
And so they don't get a green light, I just point them in a direction, they just go. They say, hey, here's what it looks like, they give it to us and we approve it there.
I'll give you my spiel. The benefit of selecting one for some pretty short period of time, like 5 years, selecting a construction manager for that, is that you get to pick your construction team, as opposed to just general contracting like we just did for the science room, where you go out and you pretty much stuck with a little bit. Sometimes that's great, sometimes that's a great contractor to deal with, sometimes the little bidder is not the contractor you want to have to deal with for that project. Versus here, based on qualifications of the contractor, not just the number that they put on the bottom line, you get to select the team that the district works with. But like Ryan said, that doesn't, you're not forced into doing every project with them. They're still going to come to you with the answer to your question, which is, how much are we paying you to do this? Because there may be certain types of projects where it makes more sense not to use a construction manager. And you say, well, I'm sure you guys are doing a great job, but different types of scope and smaller scope projects, it might make sense to do those outside of that. And you can still go back and we end up doing a general contractor type bidding project, but I think for the next foreseeable 5-year future, some of your larger projects, they're going to be able to help you a lot better having them on board with cost estimating, and knowing that that if that they're going to come through with a proposal. Here's what we're going to charge you as to be a construction manager, and then they bid the project to subs to get it done. And knowing the construction team you have, there's value in that besides just low bid number.
And hopefully we don't get to a place where we're like, $250,000 for a science room sounds adequate. But we get, the experts in there, they can help us direct us better. So.
And if we have multiple $50,000 jobs popping up that we do nothing about,
Yeah, or
we don't have to handle that.
$995. Yeah. But like I said, it shows with the community transparency and trust that we are going through a process. We don't just blindly award things who we think, right, who's our friend or who's our cousin. Like, we went through a process to award this to somebody who's trusted that we work with, that went through a committee that we vetted, board vetted, a committee vetted, and so, what it does, it takes that whole argument out of reclaimed favoritism, doing that. So,
Are there any other questions? And this.
we would like an action item on this today, if everybody feels comfortable with what I've provided. We would like an action item on it today.
Does everyone feel comfortable with this? Questions? Do we hear a motion?
Is this the same thing we looked at last month?
Yep.
We're doing it again?
Last month, we did the architect,
Oh,
and then now this is the general contractor.
got it.
Okay.
Projects that we want to have completed within the next 5 years, I think it's a good idea that we move forward with Bennington.
And these projects already exist in the budget, so like, the board approves the budget?
Yep.
Do I hear a motion?
Is it Bennington or Benetton?
Bennington.
Bennington. Benning.
Yeah,
Bennington.
B-E-N-I, Bennington.
Benetton.
Yeah, not bending, that's an, okay, Bennington. Yeah, that's my fault. Please record that.
She doesn't know how to type that out.
B-E-N-I-T-O-N.
Here, let's do the conversation again, just slower. Is it?
Yeah.
So I would move that we approve Benetton Construction as our general contractor of favor, with the caveat that when we do enter the contracts with them, they attempt to use local subcontractors whenever possible and as practical.
I second.
It's been moved by Dustin, seconded by Maribel, to approve Benetton as our general contractor, for caveats or whatever. Are there any other comments, questions? In that case, let's vote. So, all in favor, signify by raising your hand. The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. One second.
Appreciate the,
Remember today?
we will now move on to the next item, student travel.
Student travel, and maybe with Dr. Benton or Zimmerman to working on HVAC, so AC in here, so that's, yeah, probably this. We have Mr. Prado here. Last board meeting, some of our migrant students came up and presented a trip to DC it's called the close-up trip. There's a lot of questions by the board, like what is close-up? Who is gonna be chaperoned? Just a lot of little things that we'd like to get answered for you. And so I have Mr. Prado here, and so this is kind of that follow-up you guys asked for. We get more information on this, and that's why I'm here. So, any questions or go ahead, Mr. Prado, if you'd like to take over.
All right, so it's finalized and students are registered. We have middle school will be June 21st to 25th. 10 students, 2 chaperones. That will be Miguel Segura and Wendy Segura. For the high school will be 10 students, 2 chaperones. Mr. Kleber and his wife, and they're the ones that are going to be chaperoning the high schoolers as well. 2 and 2.
So there were 10 students from middle and 10
Yes.
from high school.
10 middle school, 10 high school. Middle school, and I have it on the, I did share, a copy of this. Middle school will be 5 days, 4 nights. High school will be 6 days, 5 nights. Transportation, I will be taking the students, or somebody in the program will be driving the students to the airport. Transportation is provided by the close-up program once they're over there. And it's included in the package they've got for the students. It's the airport cost and the hotel as well, the days that they're gonna stay there, and the food as well. Everything else. include that on here, accommodations, hotel accommodations for students and the teachers as well. Meals provided by close-up, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, student supervision and safety. They are pretty strict over there. I've been with students over there a few years ago, and they are really strict. They don't allow students outside their room at night after 9 p.m. or a certain time. And so they have security there. They have teachers. They have people that work in the close-up program as well. They're going to be there.
We went to LA in high school and they just, we had no check-ins. We could leave the hotel anytime of night we wanted to.
In this program, they have a security guy for
That's
each
right.
floor.
It's a little different, I guess.
Boy, it's
So,
probably because
and-
of us as we.
That's right.
These students had to qualify.
Yes, correct. So I did share with Crystal, and if you guys want, I can share it with you guys. I do have a list of students with, I have an application which is the close-up that I created for the students. And they do have to write an essay. They have to meet criteria like a good grades, nothing under a C. And if they do have something like a D or an F, they have they have to turn in a copy of their grades that we check rate. So let's say coming up is grade check number 9, and if they have let's say a D, they have to work on that, write a letter and be like, Mr. Brown or Mr. Murray, I do have a D in this class, I'm working on it, give me 2 weeks, I'm working on it. So next grade check, we do have to see either, improving that grade. Including with this application, I did, they do have to write an essay, actually 2 essays, and they're gonna do a presentation once they come back with you guys. So they're gonna do a presentation, they're gonna do a video, they're gonna, I was talking to Ms. Cleaver to see, because when they go over there, they get this curriculum from close up, and I'm trying to see if we can get some credits, at least some, extra credit for the students in case they're behind or something. They can use this as extra credit. So, because they do get a certificate for going there and learning, what they have for close up. So they have all that. They have to turn in a transcript. They have to get a recommendation letter by a teacher. Why they they're the students to go. Why they should be chosen to go. So, I got a lot of stuff that I put on there that I included in this application, because I do want them to learn how to print out their transcript, look at their grades, get a recommendation letter, write a letter as well, why they deserve this. So, do have that. So.
How many students apply for middle school?
10 and 10.
So 10 students apply, and so then.
Yeah, well, the amount of students that, we don't have a lot. We have 25 middle schoolers
And only 10 apply for it.
Yeah, they didn't apply for it. We kind of picked them according to the grades and attendance they cannot have. But if they have like 60% attendance, then we actually we did send out a message like you have to have good attendance and good grades. So,
And these kids will also make a presentation to
yes.
not just to us, but to their peers.
Just for here, for the board.
Yeah.
Just right there, next.
Will they take it to the PAC meeting?
Oh, yeah, that's a PAC meeting, and then to the board.
So you take only 10 from high school too?
It's 10 high school, 10 middle school.
Because hopefully that would inspire more kids to apply for this kind of
Yes.
thing.
And,
So, for the budget, you said, I guess you said that some of it's covered by close-up, what's the rest covered?
no, it's all gonna be covered by the finance.
Oh, okay, all of it, okay, gotcha.
How many times the students can go to this trip?
Well, it got approved, I think just this year. I don't know if we have it next year, then we'll choose different students.
So,
They just once,
well, they're supposed to go only once, but they can go more than once?
Well,
If their grades are good?
So can
Because
they
you have
go-
a few students, they're going twice already. So you can give the opportunity to somebody else because the grades, but you're taking only the ones that have good grades.
well, we haven't had this for 3 years, and we didn't, I wasn't here when it was worked the other, how they did it. This is the first time I'm creating something for them to follow, like, the application. So hopefully by, next year, we can have, the same students, leaders, and we're involving more of the student leadership. We have a student leadership group that we work with, and it's mostly them that are, that are getting involved. They get involved in their after-school program, they get involved in our college visits, and this other college visits and everything else that resources that I give to them is given to all the families, all the students, and the ones that are responding are the ones that I'm giving priority. They're getting involved, they're attending meetings, they're doing all this, and kind of, giving them the opportunity to go
So you,
for this first year.
so
Next
this
year,
is just for the students, so they see, okay, I need to get more involved so I can do this, and I have the opportunity to go and do the rest.
and I don't know how many students have already attended that were signed up for, 3 years ago. I think 3 years ago was the last time we sent some students there. So, and now that we have, we have it back, and, if they did attend 1 year, then maybe next year we can work with another group of students, always with that vision of like helping them to get better grades, perform better every year. So that would be kind of like a, something that I want every year, basically, working with.
Sounds like a great trip.
It is.
So if you need any volunteers from board members, I'm sure.
Yes.
They walk a lot. Both of
Perfect.
my kids the opportunity to go. So I know it's good, and I know they have a security guy in each floor, so the kids have to be in their room. And they are assigned to a certain group, and that person from close-up, it was the one who was in charge for the little groups. And he always made sure that the kids were around, that they were running to different plays, they were in the same spot. But they did walk a lot.
And we did we did add on there some students that did have kind of their grades weren't that good, with the purpose of, giving them that opportunity to go to this trip and improving their grades as well. There's a few of them, it's and what made it easier was that not a lot of students wanted to go. So I had, there was 4 of them that were chosen from high school, and they were like, I don't want to go at all, so that's what made it easier. It just brought down the numbers. I'd be like, okay, it's easier to pick the students.
Are there any other questions to ask? As I said, it sounds like a great trip. And is this one of those things that we need to approve, or is this just an information item since we're actually not putting out any money? But
We are, because it is a school program, right? I think, didn't we approve it last board meeting with the caveat to come back and,
I think so.
yeah, so I think we already approved. We just wanted to give you guys more information, so you felt good about it. Like I said, I think last year, some county groups went. It's a really well-run program, security-wise, those things that, and they'll have a great experience. And I think part of what you said, Mrs. Mornock, is if there's an opportunity for us to go over there and meet a rep or a senator, like, you had a wish.
If you get the opportunity, reach out to our senators and our representatives and say we're coming from your district.
3 years ago, when I did attend with our high school group, we did have an opportunity to visit his office, one of our reps from Oregon reps.
And if he's there, have an
Take a
ask.
picture.
If he's there, be able to say something like, it would be really great if the next time you're in our area that you come to our school and talk to, our groups. Or if you have a special project that the feds might fund, have an ask. Because they really want to hear from these groups coming from their districts, especially students.
This is what
All they can say is no.
Yeah, I do apologize, we didn't vote on it because we wanted more information, so that would be something if, I mean, we're taking action on things, if we'd be comfortable now with knowing what it really looks like, who are the chaperones and the schedule, if the board would feel comfortable now with more information, so we can go kind of go forward on that.
Okay, so we do need to approve
Yes,
this.
something back here was saying, no, we didn't.
Thank you.
The little baby on your shoulder.
Okay, we have heard about the close-up trip. We've asked our questions. Do I hear a motion to approve our students going on this trip?
I make a motion that we approve the students participate in the close-up for both middle school and high school.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Maribel and seconded by Donnie to approve the close-up trip. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Motion carries. Okay, we'll now move on to the 2026 senior trip.
Perfect. Last week I met with Amity Hartley, and they're planning their senior trip to Lagoon, their graduation trip, right? And so they're gonna be doing that again this year. They are looking toward, and this isn't actually just information, they are looking to get some help with a charter bus from the board. Usually we do send just a regular bus driver. They would like us to kind of continue how much we would usually give to send a bus driver down there. The difference being is that they have a bunch of money to do a charter bus. They'd like to ride a little more comfortable than 24 hours on that small bus. So they're going to be asking for that coming up. Anything else was on this meeting? Remember, I think that was it, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Yeah.
Do you have a ballpark of how much you have for the difference?
So I told them, I said usually it costs us, $1,000 to $2,000 to do that. The charter bus came in a little higher today than anticipated, so they might not be asking for anything. But they're going to be asking, what I did say, whatever we usually put towards transportation, we'll continue that obligation. So even if you get a charter bus, you guys are making up the difference. But,
Just the difference, or we're,
Or
to raise
just
that whole
much?
cost?
no, just the difference, because right now the current bid it's looking at $10,000 for a charter bus. And so-
Moved to 2000.
So they get a party bus?
Yeah, it's the big charter bus on there, which I said, for the coast and back for 3 days. And they went to the coast and then came back and then went back. No, they stayed there. They stayed on the coast for 3 days. It was, wasn't it like, it was 12, I think, altogether?
Oil's a little high right now.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah, we get it, the oil, a little- but no, so with that 1 day turnaround, that's what it's looking like it's gonna be. And so, so that might not be something they wanna spend that much money on.
I bet they do.
But they're planning on spending their own money up to the part that didn't work out.
Yeah, the only thing the district is providing is that small amount that we use for transportation for a bus or for a bus, and usually a hotel room for the bus driver, and that's it, so.
Okay, so that is a motion item for our next meeting.
Yeah, they're gonna come in for an ask for everything. I just wanted to kind of give you guys kind of that background of what we're looking at, so we can get that through, but I think they've just been doing Lagoon forever. Right?
Mhm.
And so,
Okay, do we have any questions about that for our regular meeting in a week? Okay, in that case, we will move on to our reports, our safety review.
Yeah, I have another report.
She'll get into talk.
He's done with the meeting.
Yes. So the board has asked to get an update on kind of some safety things, especially with E3 and where we're at getting our local agencies on there. Just some general safety questions, and so I have Robert and Bobby here to answer those, but they have some things for us, so I'm just going to turn it over to them. And so this is kind of that review. We said we want to talk about safety at least once or twice a year, so you're up.
Yeah, so,
I know last time I tried to connect to this and give you guys a little bit of a presentation on what E3 is and what it looks like from our end. So I thought we'd start back at that point and just share basically what E3 is and yeah, just what it is. Maybe I should look here first, okay? Okay. It's just delayed. So, right here, this is our district office grouping, and so within, which is nice. So I should have stayed in my office and give you an example of what we were doing before. So if any of you spent any time in this building, whether you went to school or whatever, the bell system was like this little, well, you can manually do it. It's just like a doorbell, right? And so our safety procedure here at the district office, because we don't have intercoms, we don't have great lines of communication other than your phone, which are not always in our office. It was one ring if it was secure, or it was a hold, and then it was two if it was secure. And if I panicked and I was pushing that button way too many times, just know it's locked down, like something bad's happening, right? Just get it. That was new. That was something I implemented. Before there wasn't anything that existed, right? Like that we were using consistent. It was more like, okay, yeah. But you know, we have kids here that go to the preschool, and so we wanted to make sure we did the drills and that we were meeting those requirements. So these are the alerts. I mean, I'm gonna go with, we're in the district office, so let's go hold. So when I select hold, it's a little delayed here, so I'll let it catch up. There we go. So you can do an internal hold, which just to notify everybody who's on that roster that's within our district office. And then you have an external. This is where Ryan mentioned talking about the update for the agencies. I know our SRO and then one other officer has that on their phone, which we think is, I think is appropriate and it's fine. I mean, most of the, right, Officer Ong is on duty typically when students are in session, right? So for him to be the one to get that, it makes complete sense, and then he could pass that information on as needed, right? He's on our internal, right? But so he's going to get them always. As for our local first responders, we've had some inconsistent feedback on whether they're for it or really against it. I know Juan came in and we got him set up, but then I know there was some resistance on the supervisor side, on not really resistant, they didn't want it, I think they just were just weren't completely on board with the process. So I was visiting with Ryan on who the actual supervisor was, so we can go back and have a conversation and reassure them what the intent and process is for that. We could easily send this out as a drill or send it out as an alert. When that alert goes out, it comes up on their phone or on their desktop, and it'll say drill or alert, or a drill or an actual alert.
Does it go to the dispatch?
This does not go to dispatch, no. The thought was with that being, you know, they have radios that are pretty quick with communicating, and so just, you know, using their regular radio to. It's difficult because I just kind of understanding the world of being dispatched. I don't know how it works in law enforcement, but I know just like in the fire side, like what I've done in the past, you don't self-dispatch. You might kind of work your way in that area. You can speak more on how that works on the dispatching or self-dispatching to a call you might hear over the radio. I don't know if that's something that is pretty standard for you guys, or?
It's really depends, right? Most often our calls are coming in through being dispatched there.
Yeah.
Now, you know, and obviously we might respond or show up to something that somebody might take us over, or we might see something or whatever, we're gonna self-dispatch.
Yeah.
Now that we run our MBTs in our vehicles, we do a lot of the own self-dispatching
you're on a repeater that most, like, if you called in, responding to an incident, say Robert was employed at the time, right, he would be able to hear that you're responding to an incident.
If he was working with the app,
Yeah, like he was on the same repeater, yeah, right.
it's on the same frequency.
Yeah, same
All repeaters for us do is to take it from one spot to
Yep.
another. So
Mhm. Yeah, but they would just have to scan those repeaters, right, or the frequency for the repeater to be able to pick it up, yeah.
For us, it's just our frequency, so, dispatch will send a signal, where there's repeater towers
Yeah.
in between here and there, that doesn't really, you're not scanning for them, it's just like, if that's the frequency, that's what it's gonna send on.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, long story short, people can have access to that. Other officers would have access to the information. So, Officer Ong being one of those officers, and who was the other one that we, Wilson.
Yeah.
So, those two having that information. I'm just gonna go to our alert history. I know it's delayed. And just share, most of ours are, it's gonna say a drill, because obviously at the district office, we don't have many incidents with, the ambulance and those sort of things. So typically, that's the high school, and this thing's really fast right now, maybe. Yeah, maybe it'll go faster.
And just know, this does not replace any of those other emergency systems. 911 will still be called, all of those things will still happen. This is just a very quick, like, if there's like an ambulance down that's going to the high school, I get this alert right away. Rather than somebody trying to find me, but then everybody in the district office, and usually we converge and go.
Yeah.
Prior to this, what it was, we called 911, the front office staff usually called our front office staff, or somebody got a hold of me, and then I was trying to get a hold of somebody else. This is a way to get everybody on the same place. 911 is still called, all of those things still happen. This is just an on top of.
Yep.
So instead, well, in the high school, the service doesn't work, great. If you can get it, great, but if not, it doesn't replace systems.
Yeah, and I think that's the part where I think staff may get confused. Well, not everybody got to check in. Well, the intent isn't for them to be able to check in, right, at this time. The intent is to make sure people are notified. The example I give is, before we had E3 fully functioning, we had an individual that was the porta potty, right? And we're like, so there was a guy on campus. Somebody reported, we saw him walk on campus, entered the porta potty. Okay, looks suspicious, whatever. Well, he teleported from one to another, because the one that they reported that he was in. Yeah, so, of course. Anyway, I was trying to get a hold of Luke Cleaver, the high school administrator, say, hey, FYI, what do you want to put your students on hold? Well, he's doing an observation at the Kerchigs, and I can't get a hold of him. So there's basically this delayed response, right? So what this allows us to do is hit a button, right? So, geez, what is this whole thing is slow. Poor internet connection, I blame our IT.
We got rid of those.
Yeah. So this would allow me to either call a hold or just notify administrators and let them know that, and there will be a chat that comes up, and I can put in there, hey, suspicious individual on campus, and then Luke may be able to respond, okay, see you put on hold, let's elevate this to a secure. And then or he would just do it with himself, or do it himself by just pushing the button, saying secure, and then you would do that. So what I wanted to show you here is basically what we've used this for this year. If I can get this thing to load. So you can see here we had a health alert, so I'm sure if you guys monitor any of the local scanner, or you just hear sirens that were happening in the recent couple days, right? April 1st, looks like we had one. That was an internal, so that was just sent to staff, saying another health alert. So this is a drill. So we had a a secure drill. Then we had another health alert. This one was set off by Hawkins. And then you had a shelter in place. This was Mr. Phillips at the middle school. So here's kind of where we're doing the training when you talk about how are we training staff. So obviously we want them to become familiar with using the app. So here at the district office each month it rotates. So Robert may set off the evacuation and I set off the shelter in place. Ryan sets off the fire drill, fire drill, evacuation, same thing. And then we kind of just rotate on a schedule on who does that. So you can see here Kevin Draper did a lockdown. So now we're getting teachers familiar on how to use the app, because really they're the ones, right? When we think back of when we had the hunter shooting at the middle school, right? They were hunting right there on that field. That process was like, it was a little slow, right? Calling somebody to answer, and then right this way the teacher sees it, they go into lockdown, they go in their room, they send in a text message, there's somebody with a rifle, West Playground at the middle school. Now we know where to respond to. So, and then you got, just a couple more. So this one's a drill. So if it has this here drilled, so this means these individuals set out the alerts, but they did not hit the drill. So, but it's all internal, so it sends it to the same exact people. It's just going to present differently. So here's all the times we've used it, just since we basically put it in effect this year, and that was just at the middle school, high school.
If you look, see mine on there. Luke was gone, Talon was gone. I was able to set a health alert from the district office, because I had to get down there because there was a student that was passed out or something, right? I was able to do it here and move quickly, and it was all done by the time I got there. Before, I'd have to go and try to coordinate with everybody in the office and get it done. And so when we talk about how every second matters, like I was able to do that immediately right here, which is really cool. So,
And you could tell anybody else to do it while you're on your way there.
And the nice thing about this program too is once you get on the program and hit, that if you're safe or not, it lights up. There's different colors on the buildings. Or if you see, let's say there's an active shooter, this one teacher saw them, so they hit it, that it's unsafe, it'll be red. So that's why if we can get first responders on this, they can look at it and say, oh, it's happening in the gym or that hall. They know exactly where to go.
So that right there is what you get, and then it's going to pull up a map, and it's going to say, or just show the map, and I have to click on where I'm at. So I'm going to sit here, I'm going to say I'm safe, and then it creates a chat, right? So unsafe, and it's only me and Junior here, so Junior's on vacation somewhere with getting some alert right now. That's why I do it. I was like, that's just me. This is our demo one. So yeah.
So if we have no electricity, the thing doesn't work.
Well, your phone
Comes to our
it's all-
goes to your phone. So notice I had to submit on my phone, and then I go back to alert. So only admin could end the drill. So right here we could just hit end drill. Yes, right. It started by me, it was ended by me, and we went into a hold. And this is in the demo. Yeah, each building, we kind of had to mess with it a little bit. Where right, district office, we were part of just the one building, and then we kind of separated, and now we even have the entire campus, which Mrs. School District has thrown some people off. And we've set off like our drill for everybody on the entire campus, but we wanted that option, right? Because it really, if there's a lockdown, we want all staff to know right away. Versus in these other areas, like when we're operating from elementary, when the elementary sets off, let's say a hold or secure, there's a wild dog on campus chasing kids. well, that impacts high school if it's outside the gate, right? Or outside of their little playground. But Luke would then be notified, and Andrea would be notified, the district office admin would all be notified that there's a secure, and Pratt or whoever set off like dog on campus chasing kids. Okay, well, we know we're probably gonna, middle school's probably gonna go into a hold, because they're just not gonna transition, and high school's not gonna transition because there's a dog attacking kids, right? So that, it just keeps everybody in the loop versus we used to have a phone tree, right? And we kind of talked about it a little bit, but this gives a little more perspective. They can be able to see the app complete. But we have a phone tree that I would call here, and then what, I just forget the name, Colleen would then call the next building, right, and then contact Meg. It was just this whole phone tree mess, and so this eliminates a lot of that delay. So.
And
yeah.
you've been using this for what, 2 years now?
No, this is our first year. We kind of started,
First year, we talked about it last
we
year.
piloted like the last month or two of school. But this is really our first year of implementation.
So how much training have the teachers had on this?
I mean, they get it every month. So every month when we run a drill, what you just heard, every teacher is either gonna have to respond at their computer, which has kind of been the complaint, right? Like, well, my computer, right, and it's over on that side, and I should be hiding over here. And at the beginning of the year, all the teachers go through a training on the whole lockdown, secure, evacuate, shelter, and the admin is actually just a new feature. That's like if there's a fight, we want to call admin, or similar to even a health alert. But the nice thing is health alert, we know it's urgent, we know there's medical involved, where admin might just be, I need an admin to come over here and observe this situation that, right, whatever's happening. But we are talking with Megan, and we'll work with the buildings. We're talking about next year with the ID cards, putting this information on the back of the ID cards. Ontario does it, and so we actually discussed this in the past. It just hasn't happened. So the I Love You Guys, obviously we're using it, and that's our go-to, and so it makes sense to put it on the ID cards for all the students so they have it, and it's available to them. Because they do forget, when you get in a situation, right, even though it's every month they practice a hold, and then it actually tells you what to do in a hold, right? Go continue business as normal. Just go into your classrooms, right? Secure, lock all doors, right? So it's actually Martha Lazo, we pre-recorded her reading a script, and then it just plays on repeat. So, yeah, it sounds great. It honestly belongs in an airport, but so anyway, yeah, this is our district map. If it comes up, right? So we've had to build this, and this is a work in progress. We keep changing or adding, right? Because like, oh man, we need to add this place to evacuate to, right? If it's a fire, we want to be able to, Mr. Moyes or somebody wants to say they went to this side of the building in the playground. So we just make it better, right? Making changes, adding to it to improve precise location. So you even see here you have the off-site option. So if Ryan's in Vail at a superintendent meeting on Thursday, right? He's like, hey, I'm off-site, but he's able to communicate through the message system. So, yeah.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Bobby? It would be nice if in a year you would come back and give us a quick snapshot of changes you've made, you know, to make it better. And if it, you know, if it functions the way that you expect it to do, because now the teachers will be more used to it.
Yeah.
And the staff will be more used to it.
Yeah, and I think part of that could be, you know, one of our surveys we sent out for parents and staff a couple of years ago talked about, like, do you feel like the school district's, you know, doing everything necessary for, to, you know, safety? And so, looking back at those results and then looking at the future results and seeing if there's, you know, we're getting feedback. And the other part is, right, if we're getting feedback even from parents, like, no, then how are we gonna do a better job of communicating that this is the system we're using? these are the resources that, you know, our district has to communicate to at least protect your child, right? We're not, I mean, to send out a lockdown or even a secure, parents, you know, may overreact to that. When we go into a drill, part of the procedure is to put a note on the door saying we're in a drill. So parents may show up to school like, oh, they're in a drill, I guess we'll have to wait outside until that sign comes down, and typically takes a couple minutes, so. But yeah, those are all things that we can improve on and you know, evaluate through the surveys as well, so.
Great.
Perfect.
Robert, do you have anything to add
I
to?
was just gonna add, she asked about the teachers learning and practicing. There is a video that they sent out when you first did this whole deal and downloaded it on your computer. In fact, I still get on it every now and then. I have it saved on my computer with a guy named Ty. He kind of breaks it all down and shows you how the whole system works. And so everybody should have gotten that video.
That's a good
Maybe
thing
you
to
could add
look
that
at.
to the fall training,
Yeah, we do, it's part of it. Yeah, it's part of, the students even do it, so like, the students
There
do
we
it.
go.
The students do it twice a year, and it's part of their advisory, class, that
Good.
when they do the training, they watch the video, it talks about, you know, the process, like, in a lockdown, here's what you do, so we've linked, it's YouTube videos that are, right, that have been approved by I Love You Guys, made by I Love You Guys. Matter of fact, the students that are participating in those videos are survivors from the Sandy Hook Elementary School, and they're like middle school, high school age. So they are just, you know, doing the training, which is, yeah, pretty impressive by them to.
Are there any other questions for Robert or for Bobby? Okay, then we will move on to board scholarships. We have here our board scholarship applications. There are 16 of them.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it a lot. On the board scholarship applications, Megan, could you give us the dates of when we need to have these all reviewed and?
They have not told me their date for their end of year awards assembly. It's usually the second week in May. So if you guys could get them to just
Person.
try to pull up my calendar.
By the first,
This month,
yeah, this month, the first
so
month.
they can have plenty of time
So
to.
I just turn this into you? Yes. Yes.
Can we just make the applicant's number next to the 5 slots?
Yes, yep. Because I've got the key in my office of actual person is.
And we're supposed to just base it off of those 4 things.
Yep. How about a deadline of April 24th, getting me the names?
April 24th?
Friday.
And we can email those to you or?
Yep.
Like we did last year, then just number. Okay.
Somebody better write that down for Dustin.
We'll review that number again, those numbers again in a week, our next board, at our board meeting, the dates. So,
So then
By
April 24th, you're gonna do that, and we'll have them compiled by, or we don't have a study session May 4th, and then we're gonna vote on it by,
No, I just tally them.
how many?
We do, yeah. Yeah. And then if, I will, as soon as I find out the date for the awards, I'll let you guys know, and then whoever wants to decide who will come and present those at the awards.
any other questions about the board scholarship? All right, the next item is a statement of economic interest. It's due on April 15th. I hope you all have gotten it finished.
No?
We
Yeah.
have had 4 board members, a superintendent, and a business manager complete it. So there's still 3 more board members
It's a real pain in the butt.
needing to get it done.
I know.
Depends.
Well,
But yeah,
It's my job.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
I wonder if it makes you repeat yourself a whole bunch of the same crap over and over again. I tried to fill it out, it took me an hour and I got like,
Yeah, it's not really fun. It's a time waster.
April 24th, then our
I'm having one of my staff.
board, whoever you choose to make
I quit, so I ended up.
rank the rankings.
Okay.
I quit.
We're doing five?
Yeah, open up your thing.
It's right there.
He's in there.
No, the very first year we've been,
Perfect.
April 24th.
And the SEI is due, said that. And the next item, if there are no questions on SEI or comments, the next item is policy review, Section C, General Administration. This is one that we all need to look at, please. The reason being is that part of it has to do with layoffs and recalls. And, you know, we need to look at that a little more closely, I believe. I did have some items when I went through it. One is just a typo, but I'll talk to Megan about that. The other is item 4 on performance responsibilities. It talks about the personal, and I don't know if that should be the personnel. It was confusing to me, and you know, maybe it's just me who was having a hard time reading that. So that's an item to look at. I had a question when it says licensed employees. Does that refer to our certified employees? And then when it says administrative people, does that include our not classified, but our confidential employees?
And yeah, that's the difference between your certified and your administrative, so. You have all this written down, we're going through, just so we can kind of give it to everybody, see what we're looking at?
Sure, on my grocery list piece of paper. It does behoove all of us, though, to read the part about the layoff and the recall. I think it's important. One of the concerns I do have is when a person is recalled, when you read through that, it does not talk about using email at all. It talks about using the regular postal service. And I think we can update that a bit because I'll be honest, I have a friend right now who is traveling around the world. He has no home address because he is traveling, but he's always available by email. So, you know, in a situation where you lay off someone and they're traveling, you might not be able to contact him to say, oh, we do have a job for you, or something. So, you know, that's just something I think we need to check with OSBA about, or with the Department of Ed to make sure, or legal, to make sure that we have that.
I think we are required to send notification through the mail, but we can obviously look at putting it in.
Oh, I was thinking about doing email and mail. both.
Electronic and certified mail.
So, but we'll leave that up to you. So, anyway, those were just a couple of things that I noted in this. And I will tell you that I was watching basketball when I was reading through this. I was a little distracted at moments, so please read through all of that and we can.
The statute side, it doesn't appear to actually be a statute.
So,
Oh, that's fine.
I was just gonna look and see what does it say the requirement is, but 339, 934, and the legislative website does not exist.
really?
Yeah, it goes from 339, 925 to 339, 990.
Oh,
It's not an ABC kind of metric, this is a little more.
No, this is just the numbered portion, the number itself isn't there.
934.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I know some of those, if you have them, they do like 419A, 419C, and they have it worth their,
Oh, I cited to some stuff today that was RCP.
Well,
B, lowercase d, Roman numeral 2. That's a pain.
Well, if you look through some of these, it says that they were adopted in 2008 and then just readopted like 2 or 3 years ago. So we can do a better job, folks. Just my thought and recommendation.
Well, we have to review them all now, it's kind of giving them to you guys to look at them and give exactly, because we're not going to give us notes so we can go through them and everything at a time. So,
Anyway, does anyone else have any comments on those?
Can you give us an update on how the VP interviews are going? Or?
yeah, so the VP interviews will go tomorrow. It's a multiple step interview. They will start here, the candidates are here, we've narrowed it down to 4. So they start here and they'll have a group interview, and then they'll do a PD session, and they're given 3 areas in which they can give a PD session for. Then they'll go down to the elementary and they'll have a parent-student question. And so that's, I know it's kind of round 3, but that's the next step. We may look to do another step on top of that if we don't feel confident, or if we want to add. Right now we have 15 different applicants, so if we'd like to add.
How many are you interviewing? All of them?
4 maybe come from there, so.
Any local ones? Or
Yes.
not going to say who?
Nope. Yeah, so, but yeah, and part of it is, that everybody has a little, part of it, Gina and I will be conducting the parent-student one, but knowing that, even while they're walking, they're still part of an interview, and so we'll be down there helping them evaluate and find the perfect person for elementary.
Any other questions about the
Do we need to
elementary?
get ready for negotiations soon, or?
I was going to ask about that.
We have not heard anything yet. They said that they were working on getting their board together and let
Who's
us
their
know.
union president?
I'll have,
Jen
and have they
Marks-
decertified from the union? The,
We don't know, I think it was on the 11th is the official signing of April. That's when the official vote needs to happen if they're going to decertify or not. So we as a district are in a holding pattern, just kind of supporting, yeah.
Okay, this is great to me to certify.
There is a movement in the district to possibly decertify our classified union, going away from the classified, it's NEA, is it the?
OSEA.
OSEA organization. And so they've gone through a process that's started about last year at this time, looking to decertify them and.
yeah, and that's what,
To create their own union or to
Yes.
join another?
Well,
Either one, essentially breaking the NISA classified employee group away from OSEA. So, and then from there, either independently represent themselves or go towards another, like the OEA, which is Oregon Education, like Teacher Association, or some sort of other association. They just don't feel like they're getting the service that they need. So,
Unions aren't delivering.
so until they decide what they're going to do, we're sort of at a standstill.
I mean, until they decide and they go to vote, right now we are at, OSEA is the organization representing the NISA classified employees.
And then chances are, even then, if they were announced as developing a certain period of time, they can bring them in, so.
Exactly.
yeah.
There's a time that it has to go from, where they break off from this one before they can join another organization as well. And so, we've been navigating that, both possibilities and all of it, and our job is, like I said, no matter what, this employees or other, any organization we will really support. So.
Are there any other questions?
Thanks. Yeah, so there's no news, we're kind of in a holding pattern.
Yeah.
We've been in a holding pattern for a while.
Yeah.
So, are there any questions of our work session?
Don't have any
No,
questions.
Crystal closed the window, so we're done.
I noticed that.
No question, too quick, we are having a KB's, memorial, kind of get together going on, get on
Whose?
15th. What's that?
What'd you say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Joe
say-
Johnson's,
Oh.
memorial, kind of get together, on the Vegas Guild, so April 15th, we'll be meeting 5:30 and we'll start. Softball field, JU's Park. We'll put that on.
And then I'll be putting that on my superintendent's message for next week. And I'll probably just add, if you want to announce that, that would be the time, but I want to announce that.
I'm just gonna say here, because really, everybody else left,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, and can you add that to your superintendent letter? Because I think that's important.
Michigan's up there, so.
What's that?
There's the Michigan down.
Okay, if there's nothing else on this evening's meeting,